who is you, and Andrew, that's me.
Yeah.
So we're going to
All
go
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, and go back and forth. And so we will see. We're going to see who's the best playoff team. And unfortunately, it's definitely going to be mine.
Yeah, I disagree, but
So,
I'm excited to get into that.
yeah, hopefully good debate. Myles.
All right.
We don't have any ads this week, so we're just going to go ahead and skip. We don't have ads any week. Myles, who is
Yep.
your number one? And I should also say that Myles told me who he has before, but I don't have any stats, so I'm just looking up on Wikipedia to argue against his decisions or agree with them. So if you hear me clicking around, and I'm assuming he's doing the same thing, but he's probably a lot smarter at football than I am, so he'll just rattle off
I've
stats.
lived it. I do. I have a lot of stats, and I calculated some stuff beforehand. So good luck
Ooh,
finding
oh
that.
boy. Okay. Well, Myles, who is the first team on your Mount Rushmore of best NFL playoff teams?
Well, not just are they on the Mount Rushmore. If Mount Rushmore had a Mount Rushmore, this would be the team. I think this is the greatest playoff team that's ever been, and it's the '85 Bears.
Oh,
No question. First off, they had a terrific regular season, which we're not going to focus on, but like the playoffs. In the playoffs, they had an average of 30.3 points per game, which is that's a lot. Even in today's standards, that's setting top two definitely. They put up 46 points in the Super Bowl, and I mean that's a lot. First off, not just that, they blew out their opponents in the Super Bowl. They only allowed 10 points during the Super Bowl, which was the only points they allowed the whole playoff run. Only on average, which averaged out, they only allowed 3.3 points per game for their opponents throughout the playoffs, which only points scored against them was in the Super Bowl. I mean, this was not just okay, it was a good team overall anyway. And I mean, Walter Payton was on that team. I mean, that team was solid. They have a lot of like NFL Hall of Famers in there. I mean, coached by Mike Ditka. This was the team. And then, I mean, they were so cocky before the season was over. They did the Super Bowl shuffle.
yeah.
I'm sure you saw it. Like, that's one of the most known, like, it's been parodied all these ways. Like, I saw, like, the sex offender shuffle. It's been parodied on so many different ways.
Link in the description to the sex offender shuffle.
Yeah. But yeah, it was an amazing run by the Bears, and that's the only that's talked about today's like Chicago holds that dearly. That's their main thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with me on this one,
No,
I don't know
I
how.
actually do agree with you on this one.
Okay.
I'm glad that you have statistics because mine are all less statisticky and more subjective. But the first point that I wrote down was the Super Bowl shuffle. And as I looked into this, I'm glad that you mentioned it. They recorded this before the playoffs even started. And so it just shows how cocky they are as a team and you know, kind of led by Jim McMahon on that cockiness. He kind of gave him swagger. And then when they asked about it, it's like, well, if you can't be cocky if you can't back it up. And their run through the playoffs where they only allowed points in the Super Bowl, and at that, the Super Bowl wasn't even close to, you know, a competitive game. It just shows how good they are. But the team was stacked, though. I mean, all these playoff teams are stacked. Generally, they are. I mean, you have Jim McMahon, Walter Payton, who, I mean, people forget that their offense statistically was the number 2 offense that year. But everyone talks about the 85 Bears defense. You know, they had Mike Ditka was a head coach. They had William Perry, who was a rookie, I believe, or in his second year and, you know, making waves. But then you had Mike Singletary. And for me personally, it's Steve McMichael, who went on to become Mongo McMichael in WCW. So he managed to stay relevant long after this season. And yeah, like I said, arguably the best defense of all time. A lot of people who don't get recognized on a name basis, but dang, they contributed week in and week out. I do have a statistic for you, though, Miles. I do have a
What's that?
statistic. Uh, you said they gave up only 10 points in the playoffs. Well, in the regular season, they
Yeah.
only allowed 12.4 points a game and only 198 points allowed in the entire season. While scoring 28.5 points a game for 456 total points in the season, which is nuts. And they also had a plus 23 in the turnover differential. So, I mean, just like crazy like things that you just don't see anymore in the NFL.
Yeah. And what's one of the things, just to add to the fact of how great they were, is like in the divisional playoffs, they played the Giants and shut them out. I mean, 21-0 they won. But that defense shut out Phil Simms, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever played for the Giants, let alone in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, it just, and then they to shut out the Rams. I mean, and then they played the Patriots, and I mean, they gave up 10, but I mean, if they're putting up 46 points, what
Doesn't matter. Nope.
Even 10 points isn't going to win you a game anyway. Like, it's very rare that like teams score 10 points or less, and now even then too. I mean, it was such a great franchise, and that's what the Bears look back on even today. So
yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, you don't also want to sleep on the Rams. I mean, everyone, the great Dieter Brock as quarterback of the Rams. Yeah. Ooh, great guy. But people forget that Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson was around, and he actually was a really good running back that they shut down. So, you know, you have...
Yeah, and Ron Brown. It was a good team.
Oh, yeah, also a good team, but just not very good at beating the Bears. You know, you look at the...
I mean, is it hard to beat a team of immortals? I mean,
well, also, you want to talk about immortals. Jim McMahon. What a dude. Like the original, NFL, badass. He's just like...
Yeah, for sure.
He was like one of the original media spectacles, and I was reading stories about him. Fun fact about Jim McMahon. He's one of the first people to use a tinted visor on his helmet. So like everyone has them now. Like it's like a thing and running backs like it because then people can't see where their eyes are going. But Jim McMahon actually medically needed it. So because as a child he was playing with a toy gun and basically shot his eye off. So he severed his cornea, and so people always see him there's a famous picture of him with a white turtleneck and a Bears jersey with him black sunglasses, and not only does that look badass, he actually was a badass. And one of those things that made him that I'm trying to compare it that Pete Rozelle hated him the way that Roger Goodell currently hates the New England Patriots. And it all started, or not started, but it kind of came to a crescendo when he was wearing a headband that said Adidas on it. And he got in trouble with the league because Adidas at the time, or probably still isn't, I don't know, wasn't a sponsor of the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think that was during the playoffs. And then during the Super Bowl, they said, don't do that again. And so he ended up wearing a headband for specific causes like the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation and the POWMIA. And I didn't see that he got in trouble for that. So he's like, well, I'm still going to wear the headband, but I'm just going to do it for this. And if you find me, it's going to show that you're an insensitive bastard. So go right ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wish I could have been around. I was not born in 85, so I wish I could have been around to see that in person. I think it would have been great.
I know. It was like prime time of football.
Maybe next lifetime.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get to see that. I think we've got to see the greatest franchise, but maybe that's another video for another day. We'll do.
Ooh, come back in 6 weeks for the greatest NFL franchise of all time. 85 Bears.
Yeah.
So Myles.
All right.
Myles, we agreed on number 1. Do we agree on number 2?
I don't think so. I put in the 2002 to 2003 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was what I put there. I have a lot of love for this. Oh, first off, they were coached by none other than John
Ooh.
Gruden, which is like one of my all-time favorite head coaches. And this is kind of a modern era team. I hate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I have a lot of respect for this
Mm-hmm.
team. In fact, during the playoffs, they averaged 35.3 points per game, which is 5 more points per game more than the 85 Bears, which I thought was good, but they allowed 12.3 points per game, which is a lot more than the Bears did of 85. But that's still a low percentage. I mean, it's very hard for teams to win a game with 12 points, especially when the team's averaging 35. Plus, they put up 48 points in the Super Bowl on the Oakland Raiders,
Defense wins
which
championships.
that's how it is. I mean,
Yeah, but don't forget
that's
in the playoffs, not only the Super Bowl did they only allow 21 points while scoring 48. In the playoffs, they actually had some pretty high scoring games. I mean, the divisional against the 49ers, 31-6.
yeah,
The championship game, NFC championship game, 27-10. So,
yeah,
like you said, when you only score, a few points a game, it's kind of hard to win a game.
yeah. And again, it's like that brings me back to the point. Like, even though in the Super Bowl, Oakland scored 21 points, I mean, Tampa Bay scored 48. I mean, they almost got 50 points.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's hard to do.
Very hard to
But
do to win at that.
yeah.
I remember watching this game live it was actually when I lived in the Denver, Colorado area. At the time, my parents were and my family, coincidentally, because I live with my parents, were getting ready to move to Yucaipa, California, and so the game. It was kind of like a big deal because that Super Bowl, it was like a quote unquote local team in the Raiders, but then it was also in San Diego. So it was like a really big deal. And my dad called me in the middle of the game. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just driving by the stadium right now, going 90 miles an hour." So I'm like, "Oh, okay. Cool, Dad. Be safe. Why are you calling me right now?" So, I mean, that was that was probably I definitely sat down and watched the whole game, but unfortunately I wasn't watching it with anybody because none of my friends really watched football at the time. So I was just, hanging out and watching the game by myself. And I was rooting for the Buccaneers because I really liked John Gruden. I thought he got treated poorly by the Raiders, so I was really happy that he was able to beat his former team in the Super Bowl and was like, "Hey, too bad you got rid of me. Sorry, guys." And then
And that too, it's like it was in San Diego, which is really close to Oakland. So it was like he went there and like middle fingers to everybody, like look what I just did in your house. Like, even though like the Super Bowl was played at a quote unquote neutral, San Diego and Oakland aren't that far compared to freaking Tampa Bay, Florida. I mean,
no, it was very
side.
much a home game for the Raiders. And don't listen to anyone on that if they say otherwise. The NFL will try and portray it as a home game or as a neutral game, but it's not. People don't realize that in California there are definitely more Raider fans, I think, than any other sports fan. Just because they were in Oakland, they were in LA. They had was it the black hole? Was that what it's called in LA? I forget.
They call it. Yeah, it's still the black hole. I mean, and then now they're moving to Las Vegas, so they're going to have all that area.
Yeah. It's a very smart business idea because then you build these fans wherever you go, and you come back and you have that goodwill for coming back. There ain't great news for leaving, but you have goodwill when you come back.
Yeah, which just doesn't have any relevance to now, but like Oakland gave up a home game this year to host it in Mexico, so like they're building like international love too. So it's like
yes, yeah. Unfortunately, while I wanted the Buccaneers to win, I really respected Rich Gannon as a player. I lived in Denver, and he on the Raiders. That was at the time when there's probably the most animosity between the Raiders and the Broncos. They've always kind of had a rivalry, but this was kind of like the crescendo and the peak of it. But I always liked him. He was super consistent throughout his last few years, and I think that was very something that a lot of people at his age, didn't necessarily have.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah, it was. I agree.
Well, that was a fun season. Myles, you may not agree with my number two.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, what you got for number two?
Yeah, the 2007 New England Patriots.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I have something to say at that, but I'll let you get your stuff out, and then I'll. Go ahead.
So the 2007 Patriots did not win the Super Bowl. The 2007 Patriots should have won the Super Bowl, and it was only by a fluke play in the waning minutes of the game that they won the game. That they won the game. Arguably,
I remember that.
Arguably, the best team that never was, or should I say, the best Super Bowl team, the Super Bowl winner that never was. They made it 16-0 in the season, and since this isn't the Mount Rushmore of Super Bowl winners, this is just the best playoff teams. This team was definitely the number 2 team, and if they had won the Super Bowl, I think I would have put them at number 1, just because of an undefeated season is too good to pass up. You have the 72 Dolphins. Oh, they weren't undefeated, but they only had to win 14 games this season and 3 games in the playoffs. This was 2 extra games that they had to win.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that definitely adds up on you. Let's see, what else do I got for them? Statistically, got more statistics, Mile. The top-ranked offense, but, is that really any surprise? They had Tom Brady. Yeah. Let's just leave it at Tom Brady and Randy Moss. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And this was one. I understand that. I pulled for the Giants there because I had a little soft, a little salty feeling towards Tom Brady at the time because as a Panthers fan, you go a few years back, beating my Panthers in the Super Bowl, I wasn't too happy about that. So I pulled for the Giants both times. I flipped my love. I kind of like Tom Brady and the Patriots. I don't know. That's another day topic, but yeah, I pulled for the Giants in this one. But that I felt bad because I wanted Randy Moss to win that. Kind of
would have been nice.
Looking back.
Well, the big thing that season was the touchdown receptions for Randy Moss. But people always sleep on Wes Welker. People probably don't even remember Wes Welker because now you have Gronkowski. But Welker had 112 receptions that season. He was by far the biggest workhorse. Yeah, Randy Moss had the touchdowns, but Welker is the one who got the ball down the field after the catch. He's a little speedy guy. Now, while the offense was really great, the defense, statistically, they were number 4. Let me just read off some of the names, and you let me know if they're Hall of Famers, okay? Teddy Bruschi. Okay. Mike Vrabel. Yes. Adalius Thomas. Junior Seau. Rodney. So. Maybe. Rest in peace. Missy Jr., miss you every day. Rodney Harrison. Asante Samuel.
I think most of these are on trying to get I know that there's some that they're not, but I think they're trying to get on the ballot.
Not necessarily first ballot, but definitely I say consideration for Hall of Fame. Not because of any particular thing that they've done individually, but what they did as a team. Yeah.
To go first off, they finished this season 18-1. That's not. Of course, you hear a team go 18-1. It's like, oh, they had a really good year, won it all,
right?
But I completely understand with that. I do have a little problem with that pick, though.
Oh, do you? Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah, I do. It's. We're talking about. I know you said it's the best playoff team and stuff like that, but the Super Bowl is playoffs. and they lost it. I mean, that's
Oh,
oh.
what are you trying to say about
I
the
mean,
New York Giants, Miles?
well, that was actually my number three. That was
Is
my
that
number three.
so? Is that so?
That's my number three team. I mean, no one thought going into this playoffs, everybody was like, "Oh, it's the Giants. They snuck in. They lost week 17 or 16. They lost to the Patriots, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's the Giants. They're going to choke." And then, I mean, the first game they had was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're like, they're not going to win that. And then Giants win that. They go into Tampa Bay and win in the wild card. Then they go play the number one Dallas Cowboys, and they're like, oh, they're not going to win that. They go win at Texas Stadium, and then they have to face the Brett Favre-led team of the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field, and they come out with a win. And, I mean, this was not – I mean, they won in overtime. But, I mean, to go into Lambeau Field and win anyway, to get to the playoffs, to face the team that just beat you a few weeks in the regular season, everybody's like, oh, this is New England, no problem. But, I mean, this is one of Eli Manning's highlights of – and then just the helmet catch and everything. This is about the Super Bowls of this generation. I mean, and to be the guy, one of the only guys ever Tom Brady, and this is what started it all.
Yeah, well, he beat him twice too, which is also this one I think is more controversial. And I mean, I was in college at the time, and I definitely remember that last game of the season that New England won. We were all watching because everyone wanted to see. Are the New England Patriots going to go 16-0 in the season? And people forget that game was close. Like, it wasn't like a blowout. Yeah. It was really close. It was only 35-38. And the only reason the Patriots won was because they scored more points in the fourth quarter. It wasn't like a Patriots are up and then they kind of go a little slack. No, they came from behind and they got really lucky that they won.
For sure.
And then the Super Bowl game, it was definitely an exciting game that people were watching. It's like, oh, can the Raiders go 20-0? Can they do it? Like, oh, and then it was such a shock at the helmet catch. It was like, everyone was going crazy.
Yeah, I just can't believe that to this day. Like, that was one of the craziest catches ever. I keep thinking of like, oh, craziest catches ever happened that are debatable and stuff like that. But yeah, that was crazy. Sorry if you can hear my dogs. But yeah, that was a crazy catch. Just to catch it off the helmet of your opponent. There's no other. And on the last drive with like just a few seconds, all the emotions, it's got to kill you either way, whether you were
or the
Patriots.
For sure. I mean, I think that will always be one of the more exciting moments in Super Bowl history. Get this, though. Okay? Get this. The Giants scored 17 points.
Yeah.
It's the least number of points for a Super Bowl victor since Super Bowl 9. Think about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, they didn't score a lot of points, but when you got that defense, Michael Strahan, you got some of the greats on that defense. Let me look at some of the team. I'm not as well polished about the defense as much, but yeah, I know they had Michael Strahan, who is a Hall of Famer there. Jay Alford. Let's see, defensive back, Kevin Dockery, some of the greats there. James Butler. I can't remember who caught. Who was it? Who was the one that caught the the helmet catch? Was it Amani Toomer?
The helmet catch?
Oh, they had Plaxico Burress. He went to
no, David Tyree. That was David Tyree.
David Tyree. Okay, David Tyree caught it.
Name me one awesome moment that David Tyree has had since then.
Yeah, but we're talking about that playoff. I'm not talking about.
I'm just trying to make my point that David Tyree is a nobody, and that he's famous, obviously, for this. And I can't argue with that. But he got if no one would know who David Tyree is if he didn't make that catch, or if let's say that play, not that he missed it, because everyone would know then that he missed it, but just that play never happened in the Giants lost the Super Bowl. No one would know who David Tyree is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it still happened. I didn't remember exactly who he was. I remember he was like 80 something number, but like I'll remember that catch for the rest of my life, and just remember him holding it off the. Oh, it was crazy. I forgot. Yeah, they had Ahmad Bradshaw that year, Brandon Jacobs. That was that dual running back core. I remember that. I was a little pissed. I didn't like them,
Oh,
but that was for later years when the Panthers played them and lost in overtime. But anyway, this was yeah, Jeremy Shockey. He was a big part of Eli Manning's targets and stuff. That was a good team. But yeah, that was one of the greatest Super Bowls I've ever seen. The Giants, because that was one of the greatest ones ever. Like it was so exciting to see. But
oh man.
yeah, what about you though at the number 3 spot?
Number 3. Okay. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
My number 3, the 1998 Denver Broncos.
Okay.
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 To me, and in 1998, I was like 10 years old, so it was like the coolest thing. It was also the first year that my family lived in the Denver area. But to me, so I was like super impressionable, of course. But to me, this is John Elway at his finest. You know, his whole career. Yeah, he'd won the Super Bowl the year before. But you know, his whole career kind of like this was like he definitely went out on top. Not to mention that he had great help around him. Yeah, the regular season was amazing. They went 14-2. But the team around it wasn't just like him. Like Tom Brady is an amazing quarterback, but he definitely carries his team, I think, more than anyone else. John Elway, though, he had help. Okay, ready? Here we go. Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, Ed McCaffrey. On the defense, John Mobley, Bill Romanowski, Mike Shanahan was the head coach. And then, fun fact, Jason Elam tied the record for longest field goal during the year. So people forget that, yes. And it has since been broken. But, 63 yards is quite the feat. Not to mention all the other people who I'd consider like bit players, like Rod, what's his name? Rod Smith. Like he was just a workhorse getting thrown at.
I mean, Tyrell Davis, when you talk about him, like he's one of the greatest running backs that's ever played.
Even on his shortened career, people forget that he retired with after 7 seasons with 10,000 yards rushing. It's like
and what 2 Super Bowl wins there back to back.
One of the years he rushed for 2,000 yards. This was 1998 Broncos. He did rush for 2,000 yards. No, but get this, okay? So John Elway, yes, he was at his finest. But don't forget the backup to John Elway, because John Elway, playing amazing, went out injured. Who came in? Bubby Brister. He went 4-0. He went 4-0. Who's Bubby Brister? I couldn't tell you, but he went 4-0 that season and helped carry them through the playoffs. Now, John Elway came back and took them through the playoffs, and I think that he was very motivated because they were defending their previous year's Super Bowl victory. So I think that, and also that, I mean, he had already been in a few Super Bowls and lost, and so he's kind of trying to make up for lost time. But it turned out all right because they ended up winning the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons that year.
Yeah.
And then the Atlanta Falcons slowly faded back into obscurity until the Patriots beat them last year. Just kidding. Just kidding, Atlanta fans. They're not obscure. They're only mildly disinterested in football.
Oh, that was a good. I mean, I don't remember the Super Bowl. I was too young, but it was a very. I mean, John Elway's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest, and just to be able to come back. I mean, of course I know the backup went 4-0 there, but they're not gonna bench their first ballot Hall of Famer for him. I mean, he came back and he made that run there. I see they beat. I mean, they only allowed the Dolphins to score 3.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things is like, and that's one of the most true things about football is defense wins championships. If you don't let them average that many points,
Oh,
I don't care about your offense. It's you don't have to score a lot if you're not letting a lot be put up on the board.
oh yeah. I mean, the other defense, Steve Atwater, Tony Jones, Mark Schlereth. Actually, Mark Schlereth was the lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Tom Nalen. I mean, but all these people made the Pro Bowl. I mean, sending like half their team to the Pro Bowl, which is quite impressive. Now, fun fact, another fun fact. There was speculation that the Broncos might go 19-0 that season because they won the first 13 games of the season, and then at some point Elway went down injured, and then they ended up losing, I think, the last two. So, you know, we're talking about the Patriots who blew it in the Super Bowl.
See, this is what you do. Maybe blow a regular season game and lose, but don't blow the Super Bowl. That's
you can't go 19-0 if you lost sometime in the season, and then there's no pressure to go 19-0.
That's kind of like all right, in basketball terms. I know how they talk about. Okay, so when Jordan and the Bulls they went 72-10, and they won the NBA Finals, but then like the Warriors that went 73-9, but they didn't win the NBA Finals. So it's like, which would you rather have? And it's like I'd rather have 72-10 and win the finals. Screw having the best, championship, or I'd rather have the championship than
Pretty
the record.
much. We don't even need to have a Mount Rushmore podcast to determine that.
Yeah.
The Warriors blew a 3-1 lead, so there's always that. Yeah, but this is also. I mean, I would say that I was a fan of the Broncos at this time. I mean, I was in Denver. I was at a house party, watching the game, so everyone was into it. Which is really easy to get caught up in that atmosphere. And unfortunately, Elway retired after the season, and the Broncos went to crap. And so I spent the next 4 years that I lived there watching crap football every Sunday. So I mean, yeah. But still, I think one of the best playoff football teams of all time.
I can see them up there. Yeah, I don't know about they're decent. I don't know if top 4, but like they're up there.
Oh, they're definitely top 400. No.
Yeah, that's narrowing it down. Top 400. I'll give you that. You've won me over. Top 400 for
okay,
sure.
Next week's episode, teams 5 through 395.
Yeah. I want to put an emphasis on this. The next week is going to be like the 1864 Cleveland Triangles, the Canton Triangles.
Oh, you know it.
Which I think is a team. Triangles, it was a team. I just can't remember where they played. I think it was Canton.
Really?
Sorry, that's a tangent. Yeah, I'll look that up.
It's okay, Myles. We're hashtag with a life. So if you want to go on a quick tangent, you do it.
All right, NFL Triangles. Let me look that up real fast. Do you want to go ahead and talk about your number 4 team?
Yeah. Oh, were the Giants your number 3, right?
The Giants were number 3, and your number 3 was the Broncos.
Yeah.
Correct?
Okay, so my number 4, and maybe controversial, the 99 Rams.
Okay.
The 99 Rams. And solely because it's such a feel-good story. Okay, this was the season that Kurt Warner burst onto the scene, and kind of went from obscure backup player to what's his name? Oh, that's right. I can't remember that his name was Trent Green. Because not really anyone worth noting. And leading up to throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like I felt like every week or every day on ESPN, there was who is Kurt Warner? Who is this guy? And so, everyone kind of knew his story. And unfortunately, that was the season that the Titans made. And I was one of my few friends who wanted the Rams to win. Everyone else wanted the Titans. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you. But, I mean, I was so engrossed by this story as a young boy of like, oh, this guy was in the Arena Football League on the Iowa Barnstormers. And he came out of nowhere. to become a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Not only that, but statistically, there's the greatest show on turf. Like you don't get that because you aren't doing awesome things. You're doing that because you're doing amazing things that like, wow, we've never seen that. Like scoring 500 points, 526 points in the 1999 season. That's insane number of points. And they continued that. Like 99, they had first league in passing yards. 2000, first league in total offense, had almost 7,500 yards and passing yards and pass attempts, touchdowns. It just like goes on and on and on. And I think that's actually set up because of the players like good Marshall Faulk, Isaac Carter, Torrey Holt, Azahir, all great players, some famers, but they were there when the team needed them, and that's all they cared about. They didn't care about like the numbers. It just so happened that they were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Random thing here. The triangles were from Dayton.
The great metropolis, Dayton, Ohio.
They played the NFL before the merger, of course, from 1913 to 1929. Dayton, Ohio. Yep.
I wish I knew what became of them.
Yeah, they should have kept them instead of the Browns.
Why didn't they keep the triangles? Come on, NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
come on, Goodell.
They would have been
ruining it for everybody.
I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, there's no way that they would have been worse than the Browns. I mean, come on, Ohio, get your facts straight. I mean, the Bengals aren't really doing that much either.
Guys, I'm from Ohio. I just thought everyone should know. It's a rough time. At least we have the Buckeyes. Oh, wait.
Who is your favorite team? Oh, yeah, they should have.
The other Ohio professional team, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
No, okay, let's talk. So you're like one of those guys, don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. The whole state of Michigan. Oh,
that team up north.
That team up north. So you are you a Browns fan?
I enjoy the Browns from time to time, just not a whole lot recently.
1-31 in the last 2 years.
You almost have to double take that because it's just like, wait, 1-31? Yes. Yeah. Yes. 1-31. Yep.
I would like to hereby say, if anyone is listening, I would like to be the head coach of the Browns because I think that I could double, I could get 200% more wins. I can guarantee it.
It's not that you need to be the head coach. It's that you need to be the general manager.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, give me the general manager position, and I'll lead this team to the playoffs.
Okay. Let's start it. Okay, listeners, hashtag Myles for Browns H.
Yeah, I'm down. Just watch. But no, I like your Rams. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Kurt Warner and of course Marshall Faulk. I mean, both are Hall of Famers. Both are just great players, and the greatest show on turf. I like them a lot. Like, I would pull for the Rams if it weren't for the Panthers. Like that, they were just exciting team to watch, of course. But and of course, that's another one I might put in my top 10. I just think that I have a better one here for number 4.
We'll determine that.
Okay. Now, this was like, all right. So I put the 2014 Seahawks, but it might have been 13-14.
Was it the year they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the year they embarrassed Peyton Manning.
Okay, 2013. I remember it fondly.
Yeah, I remember that one. This was like, I just want you to know, this was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. I hated this Super Bowl. First off, the ads were horrible.
Yeah.
The lead up to it was horrible. Everybody was like, oh, this is going to be one of the greatest things ever. Is Peyton Manning going to retire? And then fucking 43-8 was the final. Like, it was the worst. It was horrible. Peyton Manning threw as many touchdowns to his home team as he did the other team.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just, oh, God. It was the true show that, like, defense wins championships. And
absolutely.
I sat there. I could have done I honestly thought about picking up crocheting or something like that. Like it was that horrible. But like,
I
I mean, that team though, the Seattle Seahawks, that was just a good. They had a great year, playoff wise. I mean, to embarrass Peyton Manning and the Super Bowl, that was just crazy. But what were you saying
Oh,
there?
as see, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a Broncos fan now, but I did manage to pull my John Elway jersey out of the drawer. I've been holding on to it for many years. Haven't worn it, haven't needed to, but I didn't want the Seahawks to win, especially because one of my friends, he is a Seahawks fan. So I remember this. I had a party at my house, people over,
Mm-hmm.
and then that very first play, safety in the end zone.
Yeah,
12 seconds in, I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me right now. This is insane.
yeah.
It's like, and it didn't
I
get any
mean,
better from there.
it was like, yeah, they manhandled him. Like they eventually scored, but like, I mean, when they scored, it really didn't matter. First off, and it was like garbage time football. I mean, they were up. Let me see if I can find that. Like that Super Bowl was garbage. Like I really, I mean, they didn't get that touchdown until the third quarter, and it was way over by that point.
Oh,
Like
yeah, it was like it was
it was,
36-0 before the Broncos scored their one and only touchdown in the Super Bowl.
yeah, and then they got that 2 point conversion, and I
Like
mean
that's
that
gonna
that was
help. Yeah, no, the
yeah,
Seattle defense shut them down the whole game.
yeah. I mean, this was the largest halftime lead with a shutout for 22-0.
Ooh,
Most pass completed by Peyton Manning, but like that was the most. Also, the Denver Broncos set the most losses for a Super Bowl team
yep,
with five.
yep. I think that they've been in it 9 times now, or 8 times, and they've won 3 and lost or won 4. I think they're 4-5,
Yeah.
which is
Also, yeah.
go ahead.
They sorry, they tied like the fewest rushing touchdowns a game, and Seattle had the fewest fumbles of a team in a game. Like they tied that. Like they didn't fumble, they didn't cough up the ball, but they created turnovers. In fact, I think the Broncos had 4 turnovers. Seattle didn't have a single one. Like that
Right.
was defense.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats right now. 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles. That's bad. That's
Yeah,
bad.
and it was a crazy game. I mean, Peyton Manning 2 picks.
Yeah, well, I think that was actually good because at the time John Elway, and he still is, as of this recording, the GM of the Broncos, and I think it really woke him up to because like this team defensively was garbage all season. They were not great defensive wise. They had really good offense, but then when they came up against a really good defense, they got shut down. And
Yeah.
that's basically what Seattle did all game. They just kind of had their way with a rag doll.
This Super Bowl was the cause of them going out there building the defense that they had with the DeMarcus Ware, the Aqib Talib, the that defense that they built. Vernon Davis, like
Right.
that was the reason that this team, like they took 2 years, got back to the Super Bowl and they won it. But anyway,
Well, then they
it was
barely won
just
that one, but they just had a really dominating defense that was able to kind of help them out.
it was a crutch really.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, the final score was like in that Super Bowl. I think it was 23-10. The Broncos beat the Panthers, but like with a few minutes left, the score was 16-10. It wasn't like it was a crazy scene of events that got that. The game was closer than the score allowed that to be. But like this Super Bowl was huge for the Seahawks. I mean, it'd been a while since they had. I don't know if this was their first. I think they had won one previously. I don't know. Actually.
I think people always forget that Seattle they made it to the Super Bowl a few times, but they lost. This was their first Super Bowl
Gotcha.
championship, but Everyone remembers when they made it to the game in 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the
Yeah,
year
they
that
made it. They got beat by the
the
Steelers. They got beat
Steelers?
by the
Yeah,
Steelers and the Patriots.
yes. So people always think they did because they also had oh gosh, I'm looking at the didn't take me where I wanted it to take me. Uh, there we go. Who was there? Matt Hasselbeck. People always love.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah,
I think that they also confuse them with the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
yeah,
Yeah, because Trent Dilfer. They had Trent Dilfer. And the year after he was on the Ravens, he went to Seattle, and people were expecting him to do amazing things, and he didn't. He ended up on the Browns a few seasons later. Where quarterbacks go to retire.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, but yeah, that was my number 4.
Oh, Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and in a few years, we'll come back and we'll hit this again. I'm sure that there'll be different teams. And
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, these playoffs haven't even started. There could be the greatest you've ever seen. Who knows? I mean,
2017, 2018 New England Patriots. No.
oh, God, no! Please let the Panthers do something.
We might get a rematch of the Panthers and the Patriots. We might get lucky.
I want that so bad. Like, I've wanted that for years. Just to beat Tom Brady would just be great. I want that to happen, but they got to win 3 road games to get the Super Bowl.
That's tough. That's tough in the playoffs. Tough in the playoffs.
Giants did it, though. Giants did it. Maybe that's the key to success. Oh, my God. I just linked that. 2007 Giants won 3 road games and beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Can repeat that. Ooh.
Time to go tweet at some people and see what they see how they respond to the next few games.
It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. It was the 2007 Giants. 2007 to 2008. This is the 2017 to 2018 Panthers. There's a lot that can lead to this. Oh my God, this could be the thing.
Connections. Oh my God. Look at these connections.
I mean, Brett Favre don't play, but
yeah. You better believe that if he could come out of retirement, he's waiting. He sits by his phone every Saturday for a phone call.
But yeah, maybe it'll happen. I'm hoping.
We'll see. We got a few weeks until the Super Bowl, and until then, maybe we'll come up with some of the worst playoff teams of all time. What do you say, Myles?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We'll get it done. This has been fun. Listeners, what's your Mount Rushmore of playoff football teams? We'd love to hear from you. We have Twitter. You can tweet on us. Myles, what's that Twitter handle?
It's at MT Mount Rushmore Podcast. MT Rush Podcast. You can check it out. It's Mount Rushmore Podcast. You search that up, that'll pull it up. Yeah, it's got our logo. Actually, if you go to the top of, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link at the main page. You can look there. You can make sure to subscribe to that as well. Also, we're on PodBean, iTunes, Anchor, of course.
Yeah. More to come. Hopefully, we'll get on on Google. So if you listen to us outside of iTunes, you can get us on Google soon. Myles, do you have anything else you want to plug? We can plug the YouTube channel if you want to listen while you're at work.
Yeah, you can do that. Of course, we're trying to expand Spotify. We're looking into that. There's a lot of places we're trying to get it available. Yeah. I mean, this is just the second one. We appreciate the support so far. Of course, please go check out their Twitter. We'll respond to you there more than anywhere.
Definitely.
But
yeah. So, Myles, any personal things you want to plug?
Keep pounding. Hope the Panthers win this year. And 23-8 Falcons got beat. Remember that lead.
Yes, I'm Andrew. You can catch me on Twitter at Rewind My Game. I post awesome stuff there, usually in regards to hashtag Save the Crew. But you can find me there. Always remember that the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Oh, I got it wrong. Falcons blew a 28-3 lead. Sorry, I said 23-8. It was 28-3. Sorry, my bad. You can finish now.
It sounds like 3 is the magical number there, Myles.
Yeah, that's right.
So, everyone, thanks for listening. Next week, we'll probably do a non-sports, and then we'll follow it up with the worst playoff football teams of all time. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Right, Myles?
Sounds
awesome.
good
Thanks
to
for
me.
listening, guys. Bye.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Bye.